and I'm like, oh gosh. I was like, I felt like I'm not ready. Or like, I'm not where I should be. I knew I wasn't. So I was like, and I know it's going to be something she's going to ask me, and I'm going to have to tell her, I've been doing all this crazy stuff. It's really bad, but I'm ending the relationship, you know, whatever. So I avoided it. And she's like, just let me know what Tuesday you can go. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm not going to go to lunch. Oh my God, I'm not doing this. So, but she kept persisting, and she kept whatever. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I know I need to do something right. And that's when I started to distance myself. Or whatever. This is before the actual breakup and everything. So I got Jesus Calling. I don't know if any of y'all know, that's a devotional book. And I started reading that, and it really just was speaking to me and everything. And I was like, I got so excited, and I was on fire. And I'm like, and it started to remind me, this is where I was. This is where I was. This is the life-giving stuff. This is where I want to be. So by the time I had that lunch, because she wouldn't leave me alone, she was like, we're going to lunch. How's Tuesday? And I'm like, okay, all right. So I went, and I'm prepared to tell her, because I feel like she's going to mention something about worship team, and I'm like, I'm not there, because I've been doing this, whatever. So I'm talking to her. I went to lunch, and I was feeling good, because I was already on my way back. I was excited about my relationship with God and get back on track. So we go out to lunch, and she's like, how you been? I was like, wow, let me tell you. So I start telling her all this stuff, and I said, but it's coming to an end and whatever, and I'm like, okay, you know. So I'm expecting her to tell me, okay, you know, because she said, you know, I wanted to talk to you about team, but I don't want to put you up there before you're ready. I said, no. I said, trust me, that's fine. I was like, that's fine. I don't need, I'm like, I'm good. And she goes, well, how about we talk in another month and see where you're at? And I'm like, really? I just told you all this stuff. I'm like, you want to talk to me again? I'm like, okay. So a month passes by. I don't bring it up. I'm like, I'll just pretend like, you know, I forgot or something, right? Well, she brings it up. She's like, hey, let's go to lunch. I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm expecting she's going to tell me yes or no on the worship team. So we meet, and she's like, where are you at now? And I tell her, and I'm like, it's going really good, you know, I'm really feeling good, whatever. She's like, okay. She goes, well, I'm going to do this. She's like, I'm going to let you decide if you should be on worship team or not. And I'm like, what? I'm like, who am I to decide if I'm supposed to be on worship team? I'm like, and this is something that, like I said, a lot of people, envy the position. Like, people get bent out of shape to come up and sing, you know? And I'm like, they come and beg for it and whatever, and I'm like, I'm like, who am I to say if I should be on there or not? And then I so clearly heard God say, you did not ask for this. And I was like, God, you're right. I didn't ask for it. And I started crying, because I was like, after all that I've done, you would still put me in a position in front of all these people to sing and worship, and for your light to shine through me, after all these bad things that I've done. I was doing well, got baptized, all this stuff and all this mess, and then I went down further than I've ever gone before, and you still want to use me.
There you go.
I was just overwhelmed. So then after that, I told her about that, and I told her, I was like, my answer is yes. I said, but I would not have been able to say yes had I not been 100% sure that it was not for selfish reasons. And I told her what my story and all that stuff. And so anyway, I started serving on the worship team. And that has been an incredible blessing in itself. I was going through another custody battle, and I had my son the majority of the time, and he was fighting for 50-50, and his father's not a bad father. There's no craziness going on and everything, and they're like, if you go to court, it's going to be 50-50. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I can't do 50-50. I'm like, this is crazy. I had my baby all to myself, all these deployments, everything, and I'm like, I can't do it, you know. And I got so upset coming out of, we had depositions. I don't know if depositions are intense. And when, like, his lawyers, like, I smiled, and he's like, you think that's funny? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, oh my gosh. But it was very stressful, and I came out of there thinking that this could go to court. And it was very scary for me to think a judge is going to decide what happens to my family. So I came home, and I cried, and I was praying about it, and I had this thought in my head, if I'm not a mom, then what am I? And I was like, whoa, God corrected me so quick. And he was like, you are more than just a mom. I have other purposes for you. You are not just a mom. And I will take care of you. And if this happens, I will take care of you. Everything will be fine. What's to say I won't take care of Ethan? Because I'm worried about what influences happen over here. You know, they don't go to church, stuff like that. But he's like, no, I'm in control. He's my son. You know, so that was a big, you know, a big eye-opener for me, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, maybe it's to free up some of my time so I can serve more. Maybe there's another purpose to that. Maybe it's so I can go back to school again and keep pursuing what he has for me. So I was living with my mom at the time, and we were facing court anyway, and the situation, I was like, I don't know if this looks good, because we're in a small house, Ethan doesn't have his own room, you know, so I asked a friend who dealt with a lot of Marion County cases and all this stuff, and I said, hey, what do you think? Do you think I need to move? And he says, he's like, yeah, you need to move, like, now. He's like, get a place. He's like, even if it's just temporary, get a place or whatever, because that's going to give him leverage. So I was like, okay. And then I was able to find a house and get in there within a week that fit my budget. It was like ridiculous. I was like, what? It like fit my budget, everything. It was in a better school zone. It got me out of the D school zone and everything. And so that just all worked out and everything. Then I want to bring up that married man again. Because, like I said, I got rid of those feelings. A couple years had passed, okay? I was working at Lowe's, and I worked for them for 6 years. And they started cutting down all the people. I opened that store. My boss and everybody, we opened that store. They started cutting, or they weren't cutting positions. New people came in, and they started from the top. They fired the store manager, got rid of the HR. They were just... yeah, they were just switching people. They wanted different people in there, and they were getting rid of my boss's people. So I'm like, great, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I made decent money. They were flexible with my schedule and everything, and I'm like, I don't know where else I could go with a flexible schedule, making this kind of money. You know, I'm making decent money. You know, I could not see my way out of it. And I was going on vacation, and I'm like, I'm going to start looking for jobs, putting in some applications. Well, I'm on vacation, I'm sitting in my room, and I get a text. And it's from the married man. He never texts me. I never text him. Whatever. We do whatever. So he texts me and he goes, are you looking for a new job? New career? And I said, yes. Why? And he said, my wife's office is looking for an admin position, and she thought of you. Wow. I have never met the wife, and she thought of me for this position. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, yes, okay. He's like, well, send your resume, da 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 da, and all this stuff. So I send my resume in. Anyways, I got the job. And it's a Christian environment. The first day I met his wife was at my interview, and she didn't even have a part to play in it. She, you know, kept it all professional and everything. I had some other people interview me and everything, but they told me that day, they called me and told me that day, you got the job, we want you. Amen. And I was making more than what I was making at Lowe's. They're flexible with my schedule when I need to. All my court stuff that I went through, they were good with that. And it is a position that I couldn't even dream up myself. I'm just blessed with it. And it's a job that I would have never applied for on my own, because I had this doubt, like, oh, I don't think they take me. I've never done that before, you know. But they took me in, and they taught me everything, and I love it. I love it. And it's been a year and a half now, and they gave me a bonus for one. That was like, oh, thanks, you know. And they're like, we just appreciate you so much. And then when I had my review, that week was kind of hectic. There were a couple of glitches and everything, and I'm like, oh, this is a great week for my review. This is really bad. And anyways, I'm in the review, and then they're talking to me, and they said, well, this is what we think. You've done a great job and whatever, and how's a $2 raise? And I'm like, $2? $2? I was like, what? So, like, all this stuff has happened since I turned back around and everything. And what the biggest thing that I've gotten out of coming back out of that toxic relationship, having been on going this way, having come down so far, and then going back on track, is I have a stronger conviction than I ever had before. Stronger than ever. And there is no room, there's no fine line, like you like follow God's word, you know, and then He has a purpose for you no matter what you've done, no matter what somebody's done to you. There's a purpose for you. We are His ambassadors as His children. We've been chosen. We've been elected and chosen. That's like me finding out for the worship team. I know that's small and minimal, but I'm like, me? You want to use me? He wants to use all of us. There's something, there's a gift that He has given each of us, and it's for His purposes, for His glory. Amen. And then for Him to just, when we let Him work through us, it blesses us and it blesses other people. And I'm just so thankful for all those experiences that came down to where I am now and everything. And it was a long, hard road through a lot of that stuff, and I skipped a lot of details. But I'm sure you guys, I hope that you guys got the big picture out of that. So I think that's about it. So thank you for your time.